Hello everybody and welcome back. Mr. Obviously Insane here with another episode from beautiful Snowtopia. Now, we're not doing a night episode, so don't worry. When I was running the time to head for 9 a.m., we had a little bit of a power issue here. So we're going to go ahead and solve that. In the earlier episodes, we were talking about getting rid of that coal, and then we never did it. Sidetracked stuff, so we'll finally go ahead and do that now. Just trying to figure out where I want to put the said electrical stuff. I think we'll put it out here in the new industrial area, probably somewhere along here, and that's pretty much all we did. I basically placed that, removed the coal, and basically continued running time till the morning, and then the plan was to start the highway, but it was still a bit dark, and I wanted to get another train station in. Now we will see that in a little bit here, but here I am basically just taking out the coal plants, and I believe I put in another geothermal. Now, one thing that I have been neglecting is the boilers for heated pipes. So we'll probably address that at the end of this episode. But as I have been talking about, that highway project needed to get done. Finally, it will happen in this episode. You guys will see that. And yeah, I think it looks great. So here we go. Got that down. Go ahead and slap this in the new industrial area. Now, I think I am going to put it in that first little square we were looking at. It's just a factory, so it's not a big deal, but I don't think I actually bulldoze it. I think I just place it over top of the power lines, and that is it. And then from here, we will cut ahead and do the train station, like I was mentioning. I kind of wanted to, as we can see here, I kind of wanted to go through that district like we were originally planning, but we ended up building it out. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is putting the train station down here at the bottom, and maybe coming up with some kind of, I don't know, like a inner city loop or something like that. I think we'll eventually work towards that, but this is basically just me right now placing that, and then we will work on the tracks. See, I am pretty happy with that station. I like that, the raised platform. It'll give a little bit of depth, I think, to that portion of the city. Even though I know we don't have any raised tracks yet, eventually there will be some. So basically just running the line along here, keeping it on the outside of the zoning so that I can still build up that area, and use probably, I think we were talking about offices in there, just to kind of drum out the noise, but it's also along a commercial area, so we could probably zone that as commercial. In fact, I think we probably will zone that as commercial. Now, the curve is a little tricky, but I think that's going to be okay. I was thinking about staying on the outside of the zoning, but I think we'll be okay, because that does give us still a lot of space to zone stuff. So let's run the second line parallel with the one we have here, but let's do a little bit of trickery. Let's cut in with a crossover line, and then run the line straight. I think that will work. We might have to do some adjustments on that. We'll see. But I was trying to just raise the terrain and not actually have a bridge here, so it did end up with a little bit of a like terrain deformation, but I kind of like it. Again, it sort of lends to that different kind of levels aspect. Now I wanted these sort of parallel as well, coming around that corner, and I was having a hard time getting the nodes to sort of line up. So what I end up doing is I think I grab my road and try a little bit of trickery. Yeah. No, go underneath. It should go underneath, right? Yes. Just turn that little node off, bring it up to there, and that's fine. So now that node and my other node should line up when I go to put the track down, and it'll kind of give me what I want. Which I didn't go much further than just sort of setting this up. I wanted to have an idea of where those train lines were going to go, so that when I did do the highway, could make sure that I had the spacing available. So here I am just checking to make sure that it's relatively straight, which it looks like it is. And turn my node back on. Having a little problem with the grid here. Just want to have an eye to see where to put it on the road. I think we end up going with this. Might bring it back a bit. Something like there, maybe. And then I think we do the curve. Which I think is going to look really nice once we have trains running through there and we sort of build up the other side of those tracks. Now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that just yet, but we'll kind of see. And there's that deformation I was kind of talking about. And I kind of like the way that it looked, so I use Move It and make sure that it kind of sort of evens out a bit, and make sure that it's before the transfer, so that that's not on an elevation or anything like that. But I'm pretty happy with how that's sort of looking, and if we are thinking about doing a loop, that's a nice little start to it. So I think I actually just check and see if the line's gonna work. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that looks. I'm contemplating running the line here, but I don't think I do. It's probably better to wait on that, so I think we will just go ahead and do a test on the 2 stations that we have now and see if that's going to work. If not, we'll give a little bit of an adjustment to my crossover here, and then we're actually going to jump into a time lapse for the highway. I hope you guys do enjoy that. It took me quite a while to figure that stuff out, so I am pleased with it. Yeah, here we are. I'm just kind of adjusting the height. I brought that one up because I didn't want the bottom one to go any lower and then maybe risk like flooding or anything like that, so yeah, it just didn't look right level, so we end up bringing it back up and I think leaving it there and lowering it, I think, to just that height. bringing it up a bit. No, I do want to go down, yeah. It's a little tricky sometimes. You gotta select the node that you want and then go for the height that you need. I kind of like that. It gives it a nice little look to it. And then that rolls up the hill into the station. Yeah. So let's test this and see if it works, because those tracks don't really look like it's in line. So we might have to redo that. Yeah, that one's on the track, so probably not going to work, but let's just give it a test here. There we go. Train station is trying to... I think I had to move it on still. Alright, so let's go ahead and select our line. I think that's the one that we need, and then cross over. Alright, so that is not working. Not a problem. It should be an easy little fix with some movement. But that line does work though, right? Okay. Good stuff. So we just need to go ahead and give this an adjustment. You know what? Let's go ahead and bulldoze it. Because I tied that in kind of weird, so maybe if I do this, bring this back, and then try this, and then connect it up like so. You need a little anarchy still, but this should work a little bit better than what I had did before. Might still need to do a little bit of move it. Yeah, maybe just a little bit of move it. Sometimes all you gotta do is just give it a little tug. I think I moved the node on this one because it ends up being 2, but I think that's actually somewhere's right. Something right about here I think is good. Actually, do I want 2 nodes in there? Actually, let's just try it. Oh, no, that's the wrong station. There we go. Alright. So with that working, that makes me happy. Let's go ahead now and jump into the highway. Because this is all good. Actually, you know what? Let's turn this off. Yeah, let's turn this off. Don't think we need it running. Alright, so we're gonna jump into the highway now. I'm basically just bringing this back to a point. I'll deal with this later. Main focus right now is going to be on our bridges. I sort of had an idea, and I just kind of went with it. I'm not really measuring out too much other than where I wanted the pillars on the shoreline. That's what I'm trying to say. And I knew that I wanted a bit of a distance between them, so that is going to be fine. We'll do everything off of this point. Let's bring that down 20, because we're going to want to connect our little off-roads. I guess they could be like feeder lanes, but essentially I'm just I'm giving them their own 2-lane highway. It's not an exit because they more or less are all parallel, but it takes them off that and allows for the main traffic to go straight through. And this one will run, I believe, to the industrial zone eventually. Now, I wanted to do most of this with, or I shouldn't say most. I tried to do as much of this as I could without using anarchy, just so that everything would line up. Well, not line up, fit together without being overlapped, and then if I accidentally deleted something, I wouldn't have to do a whole bunch of move it magic to kind of try to put it back. At least that was the idea. So, I think for the most part I actually don't use anarchy too much. I really only use it for the tricky parts. So everything should more or less have its own spacing that it would if you just ran it without using anarchy. Except for some of the connections, which obviously the game just won't allow because it's too tight or whatever. I mean, it works in real life, so why wouldn't it work here? Now, not sure why the bridges did this, but they did. It's not a problem. Just take all the nodes and match it to the highway. And then I think I had to go back and adjust a bit. And I think from this point forward, I actually just decided if I had any heights adjustings, I just tried to do it to the parallel node, or the closest one to it. It was a bit of a pain in the butt, but I think the end result does look good. So we have our first 8 lanes. Now we need to do the opposite direction. But before we do that, I wanted to do the bridge, make sure it's all at the same height as everything else, and then I think we move it a little closer, just so that the area is nice and compact. I didn't want a lot of spacing between the bridges, just a little bit, not too much. But it's just a lot of lining up right now and then getting everything to sort of work. It's a little tricky, not gonna lie, but it actually went pretty smoothly. But this is, I think, the 3rd or 4th attempt. Not at this particular design, just at the overall highway in general. Because as I said when I started, I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't sure how we were going to achieve it. And I think that each time I was doing it, I just was not happy, and the recording was taking forever. I couldn't get I couldn't get it done short enough, I guess you could say, to get it in like an episode, because I really don't want too many episodes where we're on pause the entire time. So I eventually decided to do the time lapse for this, which is what you're seeing now. And after this, we will jump in, and I think we'll do the boiler stations and stuff like that real time. But I'm basically just connecting highway. I upgraded all to 4 lanes. You're not missing anything with the edits. I had just stopped the recording and saved my work as I was going along. Just because the time that it was taking me to do this, I was starting to get frustrated with not having a result that I was happy with, so I think I saved this 4 different times. Sort of each little step that I went, and honestly, I haven't even tested this yet. Once we hit play in the live, we'll see how it works. I was just so happy that I got it finished, but that was a mistake. Let's put that back. I'm basically just trying to run the crossover lines. The idea that I wanted from sort of the beginning was I didn't want any lanes. I didn't want any lanes of traffic to basically cross over each other if I could, you know, avoid it. And you're gonna see here, I kind of do make a little bit of a goof, but I do realize it and generally fix it because oh, I'll just let you guys see. You can tell that I knew that I needed to do something here because I'm moving this pillar to give myself the room for eventually what I'll end up be doing. But I'm thinking of it in the sense that I'm trying to get this line in here when I don't need to get that line in there, like, at all. Because this would be my far lane that would want to cross over the other side of the highway. I'm basically taking them from the side that they were on and going, here you go. Drive head on into oncoming traffic. And I'm sort of like kind of realizing it. Just getting the 4 lane here. But yeah, see? There you go. I fully committed. And then I'm like, wait a second. Alright, so here, I think I am fixing it. Yeah, there we go. Should have went across the other side of the highway. And what I want to do here is the tunnel. I was thinking about doing something undergroundish. And yes, I know a tunnel is underground, so just relax. I end up doing it, I just end up doing it on the other side to reconnect the highway, so I don't really want to spoil anything just yet, but I figured it might work a little bit better on the other side. And just do tunnels here for the highway. Because we already had the connections above for the exits. I just don't have them in yet. But there was a little bit of terrain that needed to be leveled out, so I did go ahead and make sure that we had a nice flat surface, because I didn't want to... I was already dealing with what was around that bridge area, and I didn't want to mess with that too much, so kind of just made this nice and flat, and then bring out my tunnels. In the wrong size, of course. Let's go ahead and drop that back down to 2. I think those will get upgraded because eventually we'll be running the lines to them, and I want to avoid congestion, right? So the whole point was give each person their lane, or a lane to get into, and I didn't want any traffic crossing one another. I wanted complete flow. So this was the little tricky kind of part, was getting it through here above the other one and having them all still look relatively proper. Now I'm pretty sure with the heights that I have that not right now anyways, once we do our little adjustments and stuff, pretty sure where I ended up all the traffic should flow through without driving into any pillars and or bridge decks. So that should be good. This was the fun part, actually. Trying to figure out just what sort of heights you need, and I could have probably used maybe some guides or stuff like that, but kind of want to just have a more free flow feeling, sort of. It looks straight relatively, but I didn't want it to look like it was completely, you know, by the book, engineered, has to be this height or whatever. I just wanted enough clearance so that everything could kind of do what it was doing. And I kept having troubles with that one particular curve, and I think I ended up bulldozing everything here and just making that one, and I think that ends up being the final curve. We just sort of adjust, bring him over, and then kind of get everyone to the height that we need. I think that one entrance ramp, I think we'll end up having to make a little bit longer. This one here. But we will deal with that as we kind of come to it, because it's sort of at this time that, like I said, I'm realizing, how am I going to get that traffic across the other way? They have everyone covered, but how are they going to get into the industrial zone coming from the opposite direction? And we come up with a solution for that. It's okay. Here I am making the roads at the ends 6-lane to accommodate for those extra 2 lanes. And then I just decided that I was going to raise that one portion into a bridge and actually give that exit traffic their own lane underneath the bridge, tie it in with the oncoming traffic from the opposite direction that's all heading into the industrial zone. So it was a bit of a process, but all in all, I wasn't I was finally happy. Let's just put it that way. It took me a while to get to that point. Like I said, I think this is the 3rd attempt, and by this point, I had kind of figured out sort of what I wanted to do. So I think this actually, the whole highway in total, I think only cost about $185,000. So that's actually not too bad. I actually thought it was going to cost a lot more. Now I am trying to get that curve in. Like I said, I wanted to do as much non-anarchy stuff as I possibly could, so that it still retained most of its natural functionality, instead of being, you know, just worked into place, right? So I think I end up just bringing a road in here to kind of give me a guide, and then we go ahead and do some anarchy and adjust, and it actually, first shot in, I think it actually looked pretty good, so I think we'll stick with that. And like I was saying, bring this one down. I wanted to upgrade it, but I didn't want the whole thing as 4, so I take my regular road and I just half it. Upgrade the half that I want, remove view, run the 2 in, and just do a little bit of move it, and we're good. And then I think I actually turn anarchy off and run the road right into there, without using the anarchy, so that looks really decent. And now we just need to do fix this piece here. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. We were gonna do this needed to be adjusted. It we end up having to make it a little bit longer, and it turns out, but the way that I end up editing it here, this curve takes me a bit, so you might see that it's not there and then it's there. It's just because the time it took me, I think it was like 6 or 7 tries to kind of get that curve in the corner nice with the highway, and I kept having problems here. It's just the angle that you're looking at it. Sometimes you sort of want to be looking at things head on, kind of like, well, head on or at a parallel. It's sometimes I find it's just really weird. It's more or less just the angle that sometimes stops you, not necessarily the road structure itself. But in this case, it was mostly just the first part. And I just decided that I'd run the road a bit farther back and go from there. I actually turn this 4-lane into 2 to eventually then connect that to the curve, which I was mentioning. The reason we're playing with this, if you watch the arrows on the road, right there, it gives me that they'll not head in that direction. Right. As you can see, it wasn't exactly fun, so I more or less just edited it out, and you'll see that, yeah, it's there, we did it, and I think this ends up being more or less the final few attempts, because it was starting to drive me nuts. I think it ends up, yeah. That's more or less the last one, and then we just move it just a little bit. and curve it. So yeah, as you can see, it was a bit tricky to get that one in there, but I think it finally looked good. And then this one we just tied in. And the only thing left to do in this area is kind of put the bridge back, but because we had ran the entrance highway ramp there just a bit too long, decided that we should probably go with a tunnel. And I think that'd be okay. And because I didn't do any underground stuff with the highway on this side, there was plenty of room to run the short little track underneath and just go from there. It's ironic, I didn't actually notice it until I go back to the other side, because I was so focused on getting this side to line up like I had the other side, that I didn't really notice that mound kind of popping up. But that's not a big deal. Just go ahead and delete this, use move it, and really don't know why I did that, but it's interesting. So now we just need to connect the highway back up. And this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. I had an idea of doing a giant roundabout, but I wanted to put it underneath the highway. And the reason that I sort of ended up doing that over here, I'm just going to upgrade this, is because I wanted to open up this entire space that's here. And we were talking about doing the train station sort of cargo network kind of thing along where the line already is. So I thought if I put a nice giant roundabout underneath here, I could tie in a highway connection later to that portion of town if I needed. Now I was contemplating just doing straight highway, but I just didn't think it would look right. So use a little bit of trickery. Although the terrain was not really cooperating with me too much, I don't need any of that stuff anyways, so we're okay. And I think it was 15 by 15, because 20 was just way too big and 10 is too small. At least from my experience. So we do 15, 15, 15. It would connect, but I didn't want it to. I wanted to tie those in separately. I basically just... This is my way of checking to make sure it's 90, and it's 90 relatively, so that's good. It's a lot nicer of a bigger circle than the one that the game actually gives you. Have you guys seen that thing? It is egregiously off. And that's what I was talking about. The train was starting to drive me nuts, but got around to that relatively quickly, and it wasn't much of an issue, so... We're going to go ahead and hop back into the actual gameplay, because this is coming to an end, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and let's go ahead and put that, what is it, the boiler? Probably do the boiler system, I think, and get some heated pipes into our city. So I will see you guys shortly. Alright, and let's get this going. 3-speed. Hopefully everything works. It should be fine. I see traffic moving on it already, and that is good to see. Good to see. Alright, so let's head on over into the industrial area. I think I'm going to do the boiler station kind of thing in here. Let's go ahead and get our roads. And I think I want to go with... Do I want to make that an intersection? Really? They're going to be that much of a pain. Is it too tight of an intersection? Yeah, okay, maybe. You know what? That's fine. What I'll do instead is I'm going to come down here and then shoot along the back. connected to there. Something like that. And then I think maybe we'll put the... Let's see, is there pipes out here? Good. Boiler station. Or on that road, or... No. Let's put one there. Let's upgrade these pipes. Are you not connected? There we go. So that is in. Just gonna turn it off for now. As someone drops something off it, that's pretty interesting. What is your... You don't have enough heat. An ice cube factory doesn't have enough heat. It seems a little ironic. Is that because we... Alright, well, I'll give you a couple pipes then. And you. Can't upgrade. Oh, I guess I should probably turn it on. Yeah, there we go. And now you won't complain. Or maybe you will. Why is there not enough heat? Do we need more boilers? That could be a thing. What do you actually provide? 120 megawatts. Oh yeah, look at that. So we do need a few. Alright. Let's slap a couple in there. Got the money. Had the money. And you. Oh, you. Whatever. As long as you're all connected, that's fine. So now 720. Alright, so I'll figure out off screen how that's gonna work, but you should all be fine. Or are you all just gonna start complaining? Alright. Note to self. Maybe I can't upgrade it. Water and heating. What the hell is your problem? Why are you not upgrading to heated pipes? That's just weird. Why are you all complaining? Is it not actually going there? That is... I have no idea what it's doing. There we go. Seemed a little strange, but okay. That'll be fine. Conduct a little experiment on the area. Before we merge it on over to the rest of the people. We'll take care of our industry people. That's perfectly fine. What are you guys going to be complaining about? Still educated workers? You're getting there. How is the old education? 62% graduated. 38% graduated. Still got lots of capacity on that. And 14% graduated there. Okay. So we are moving on up. That is good to see. How is traffic doing? Still high 80s. And yes, I am aware that this isn't connected, but until I build the rest of this and see just where I want to have the exit come, I figured I'd just wait until then instead of trying to cram it in somewhere just because. But not too bad. How's that train line looking? I left that running, right? Oh, it's got that little funicular thing. Alright, I'm gonna put a quick pause here for a second. Actually, no, I'll just do that off. That is so annoying that the game literally defaults as that one. And it's specifically built for a mod that I'm not even using right now. It's an annoying little train. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the episode here. Highways in, we will probably start working on this whole area, laying out the grid in the next one. I think we've got 3 different industries to kind of place down and do that, and it's probably going to be an entire industry little area. I don't think there'll be really any residential. There might be some, we'll see, and we'll probably add some commercial, but I'm going to run time through the evening as usual. We need to make a little bit of money back. We spent good chunk on that heated water investment. Didn't realize that it was going to be as pricey as it was. So when you think about it, spent less on the highway, I think, so. Maybe I was just not doing it right. Who knows? Either way, we are making money, so I will see you guys in the next episode. Hope you are enjoying. Thank you for watching. If you aren't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. It does help out quite a bit. Feel free to comment. I do like to engage with those that are watching. And as always, guys, until the next episode, take care.